So, as always, as I end off your lectures, I speak a little bit about the contemporary approaches to your medium that we're discussing. So, I want to speak a little bit about some interesting contemporary approaches to painting. One of the first things to bring up is the idea of what we call mixed media in painting. And this is the mixing in of, let's say, magazine cutouts, drawing elements, even things like pills, like drugs, right? So, wanted to show you some artists who worked with what we call mixed media in painting. Wengichi Mutu, that you see here, is probably one of the most famous, and Fred Tomaselli, I'll show you his work as well. And this work shows up in your textbook, so you'll engage with it there. And what she does is she does these pieces where she mixes in magazine ads. For instance, the shoe here is a cutout from a magazine. Works with different types of paint, and then also even draws some elements in. So she creates these sort of layered pieces, working through the different types of mixed media that she's using. I find them ridiculously compelling because they're strange and they're fantastical and they're odd and they're bizarre. You kind of can't stop looking at them a little bit. So I think it's a very interesting way to approach painting. She obviously also works with, as an African American artist, she works with, again, some identity politics, right, as far as the life of African Americans, beauty within African American culture. I love, for instance, on this one, she literally cuts out beads, which is beads are very much a part of traditional African dress in fashion. So she adds them in here, but almost like a blindfold. So again, you're left kind of considering what message is being espoused here to you. But again, I love her work. I think it's very very compelling to look at and intriguing and kind of bizarre and rich and fabulous. This is Fred Tomaselli, and I gave you some videos on Tomaselli, his Echo, Wow, and Flutter piece. I gave you a detail here. Here's the larger work installed in a gallery. You'll notice it's a very monumental, large piece. But here you have a close-up of it. But what he does, he actually uses cutouts again. So you'll notice magazine cutouts, the eyes, right? In the video, he shows you how he has these folders with like cutout eyes, cutout lips, just things he likes, right? He collects them and waits for when he can use them in the paintings. He also has he uses pills in the pieces. And he talks a lot about how he'll ask drug companies for expired medication, so he can work it into the paintings. Obviously, he has an interesting relationship, right, with these drug suppliers. So don't even get into that part. But it creates this, again, an interesting mixed media approach. And I always think of his paintings almost looking like the universe. If you try to conceptualize the universe, like what is around us, how many dimensions are there? Like, it's again, makes your mind, your head spin a little bit, right, when you look at his pieces. A personal favorite of mine is Vic Muniz. And Muniz is interesting because when I was studying him in college and in grad school days, a lot of people wanted to refer to him as a photographer because he photographs his drawings. Sure, he's a photographer. I agree with that. But you'll notice that your book really talks about him in the context of painting. So again, you'll notice a lot of these discussions of mediums are flexible and often up for debate about labeling. But you'll notice he works with very interesting materials like chocolate, like the one on the right, which is the action photo piece that's in your text. This is actually Jackson Pollock, who is a very famous abstract expressionist painter. So it's him painting another famous painter. And on the left, works he did with sugar that he did of Jamaican people. And he used sugar because he wanted to draw a connection to Jamaica and the sugar industry. So again, kind of an interesting social commentary there. He's done works with cotton. I gave you some videos, him talking about his work. Again, some sugar works, chocolate works here again. And again, Mao on the right, Jamaican sugar pieces on the left. He's done a lot of works with trash. These are large scale. He has to have a crane basically take these photographs of these works, these portraits done in trash. So this is sort of what he's been doing lately. So, again, painting with trash, I guess, perhaps, supposedly. So again, these are some interesting works to consider when you're thinking about how can painting be reinvented for the modern era?